Welcome back to the Data Guy Show. I'm Naz, and as always, I'm here with Mo, our resident AI guru who probably dreams in context windows. Today, we're diving deep into something our amazing listeners have been asking about. Shout out to Yasir and Nate for their fantastic feedback.
Thanks, Naz. And yes, huge thanks to Yasir and Nate. After our last episode about you can't handle the truth without context, they reached out with some brilliant feedback. They basically said, okay, Mo, we get that context is important, but what actually is context for us regular folks using AI?
Right! They pointed out that we were talking about context like everyone already knew what it meant. Kind of like explaining why you need ingredients without telling people what ingredients actually are.
Exactly. And here's the thing our audience includes both techies who live and breathe this stuff and people who just want to use AI effectively without becoming computer scientists. So today, we're breaking down context in plain English.
Perfect, because honestly, when I first started using ChatGPT, I had no clue why sometimes it would give me brilliant answers and other times it would act like it had digital amnesia.
That's actually the perfect way to start. Digital amnesia. I love that because that's exactly what's happening when an AI forgets things.
All right, so let's start with the basics. What exactly is context when we're talking about AI?
Think of context as the AI's working memory, like its short term memory. You know how when you're having a conversation with a friend, you remember what you talked about 5 minutes ago? That's your working memory keeping track of the conversation flow.
So the AI has something similar?
Exactly. But here's where it gets interesting and where the limitations become super important. And AI's quote unquote memory isn't measured in ideas or concepts like ours, it's measured in something called tokens.
Tokens, are we talking about arcade tokens here?
Huh, not quite. Tokens are like the AI's way of chopping up information into digestible pieces. A token could be a whole word like hello, or just part of a word like ing from running, or even just a space or punctuation mark.
Wait, so when I type a sentence, the AI is literally breaking it down piece by piece?
Absolutely. And here's why this matters for regular users. Let's say an AI has a 2000 token limit. That's roughly 1500 words of normal text. Think of it like a text message that can only hold so many characters except way more sophisticated.
Okay, but why should I care about tokens as an end user? I just want good answers.
Perfect question. Because this directly affects how the AI responds to you. Remember those times when you're having a long conversation with ChatGPT and suddenly it seems to forget what you were talking about at the beginning?
Yes, that drives me crazy. I'll ask it to modify something we discussed earlier, and it's like, I'm sorry, I don't see any previous discussion about that.
That's the context window filling up. It's like the AI's notepad is full, so it has to erase the oldest notes to make room for new ones. The technical term is that it forgets the older parts of your conversation.
So it's not being difficult. It literally can't see that information anymore?
Exactly. It's like if you could only remember the last 10 minutes of any conversation, everything before that just disappears. And different AI models have different memory sizes. Some can remember the equivalent of a short article, others can hold on to something the size of a small book.
That actually explains so much. But wait, if this is such a limitation, how do some AI tools seem to know about current events or specific company information?
Ah, now you're getting into the really cool stuff. This is where techniques like RAG come in, Retrieval Augmented Generation. Think of it like giving the AI access to Google in real time.
Who? Explain that one.
So imagine you ask an AI about something specific, maybe recent news or information from your company's documents. Behind the scenes, the system quickly searches through a database or the internet, finds the most relevant information, and then stuffs that into the AI's context window along with your question.
So it's like the AI gets a cheat sheet for every question?
Perfect analogy. It's getting a custom cheat sheet that's specifically relevant to your question. That's how AI assistants can seem to know about things that happened after their training data was created.
This is blowing my mind. So when I'm using these AI tools, there's actually a lot happening behind the scenes that I never see?
Tons. And this is where understanding context becomes super practical for end users. Let me give you some real examples of how you can use this knowledge.
Yes, give me the practical stuff.
First, be strategic about what information you put at the beginning and end of your prompts. Research shows AIs pay more attention to information at the start and end of their context window.
Wait, they have attention issues too?
Kind of. If you give an AI a really long document and bury the important stuff in the middle, it might miss it. It's like the lost in the middle problem. So, if you're asking it to analyze a long report, put your key questions at the beginning and maybe summarize the most important points at the end.
That's actually really actionable. What else?
Here's a big one: know when to start fresh. If you're having a really long conversation and the AI starts giving weird or irrelevant answers, don't keep fighting it. Just start a new chat.
I always feel bad doing that, like I'm abandoning a conversation.
Don't. You're actually helping the AI help you better. Think of it like clearing your desk when it gets too cluttered. Sometimes a fresh start is exactly what you need.
What about when I need to give the AI a lot of information up front? Like, sometimes I need to paste in emails or documents.
Great question. First, be concise but complete. Give it all the necessary context but edit out the fluff. And here's a pro tip: structure your information with clear headings and bullet points. AIs actually parse structured information much better.
Like, making it easier to read for both humans and AIs.
Exactly. And remember, every word you type and every word the AI responds with uses up that context space. So if you ask for a super detailed long response, you're actually using up memory that could be used for future parts of your conversation.
Oh, wow. So the AI's own verbosity works against it.
Kind of. It's a shared space. If the AI writes a 500-word response, that's 500 words less it can remember from earlier in your conversation. It's all part of the same memory pool.
This is like learning the rules of a game I've been playing without knowing how it worked. What about different types of AIs? Do they all work the same way?
The core principle is the same across most modern AIs. They all have this context window limitation, but the sizes vary wildly. Some of the newer models can hold the equivalent of entire books in their context, while others are more limited.
And I'm guessing bigger isn't always better?
You're learning. Bigger context windows are generally better for complex tasks, but they can also be slower and more expensive to run. Plus, there's still that lost in the middle problem, even with huge context windows.
So it's not just about cramming more information in there.
Right. Quality and structure matter more than quantity. A well organized, focused prompt with relevant context will usually beat a massive, disorganized dump of information.
This makes me think about how I structure my questions completely differently now. Like, I should probably summarize what I want at the beginning instead of building up to it.
You're getting it. Lead with your key question or request, then provide the supporting context. Don't make the AI work to figure out what you actually want.
What about for people who aren't as technically minded? Any simple rules they can follow?
Absolutely. Here are the golden rules. 1. Be clear about what you want upfront. 2. Organize your information with headers and bullet points. 3. If the conversation gets weird or long, start fresh. 4. Put the most important stuff at the beginning or end of your message.
And if someone wants to get more sophisticated with their AI use?
Start paying attention to how different AI tools handle context. Some will tell you when you're running out of space. Others will automatically summarize your conversation history. Understanding these features helps you work with them instead of against them.
Speaking of different tools, does this apply to things like image generation or voice assistants too?
Great question. The core concept absolutely applies. Image generators need context about what you want to create. Voice assistants need context about your intent. It's all based on the same underlying technology, these transformer models that process information in chunks.
So the skills we learn for text-based AI actually transfer to other types of AI?
Exactly. Understanding context and how to provide good information applies whether you're chatting with an AI, generating images, or using voice commands. The medium changes, but the principles stay the same.
This feels like one of those conversations where I wish I could go back and redo every AI interaction I've ever had.
Don't worry, you're not alone. Most people stumble through AI interactions without understanding these principles, but now you've got the foundation to level up your AI game significantly.
Before we wrap up, what's the biggest misconception people have about AI context?
I'd say there are two big misconceptions. First, people think AI should just know everything. Why do I need to provide context? They expect it to be like talking to an all knowing oracle that magically understands exactly what they want without explanation.
Oh yeah, I've definitely been guilty of that. Like you're supposed to be smart. Figure it out.
Exactly. But AI isn't mind reading technology, it's pattern matching technology. It can only work with what you give it. The second misconception is the opposite extreme. More information is always better, so I'll dump everything I can think of into my prompt.
That sounds logical though. More context should help, right?
You'd think so, but it often backfires spectacularly. It's like trying to tell someone a story by including every single detail you can remember. What you had for breakfast, what the weather was like, what your neighbor's dog was doing. You completely lose the plot. The AI gets overwhelmed trying to figure out what's actually important.
So it's about being a good communicator, not just providing more data.
Perfectly said. The best AI interactions happen when you communicate clearly and strategically, just like you would with a really smart colleague who has a great memory but can only focus on so much at once.
Wow, this has been incredibly eye-opening. I feel like I finally understand what's happening under the hood when I'm using AI tools. And again, huge thanks to Yasser and Nate for pushing us to explain this properly. You guys asked exactly the right question.
Absolutely. This feedback shows how important it is to explain the what before diving into the why and how. Context isn't just a technical concept, it's the key to unlocking better AI interactions for everyone.
So, whether you're a complete beginner or someone who's been using AI for years, understanding context windows, tokens, and memory limitations can completely transform how effectively you use these tools. No more mysterious AI amnesia.
And remember, folks, this is just the beginning. As AI models get more sophisticated and context windows get larger, these principles will still apply. You're building foundational knowledge that will serve you well as AI continues to evolve.
For our listeners who want to dive deeper into these concepts, definitely check out Mo's blog at thedataguy.pro. We've got posts on RAG systems, context-driven AI, and tons of practical tips for getting better results from AI tools.
And keep that feedback coming. Your questions and insights help us make better content that actually answers what you want to know.
Next week, we're diving into the nitty-gritty of managing engineering constraints of context and effective prompt engineering. Think of it as taking everything we learned today and turning it into a practical toolkit for getting the most out of your AI application development.
Can't wait. Until then, may your prompts be clear and your context windows never overflow.
This has been the Data Guy Show. I'm Naz with Mo, and remember, keep learning, keep questioning, and most importantly, keep giving us that awesome feedback, and don't forget to like and subscribe.